Hey everybody, it's Ricardo and I am back at our E3 stage with the next to last demo, and I'm very pleased to have Michel Ancel, who's creative director of Ubisoft's Montpellier studio, and Gabriel Schrader, also of the studio, who is scriptwriter, and they have brought Rayman Origins here for us, and it is a very cool and funky return to Rayman's roots. So why don't you tell us what inspired you to make this game and what it's about?
You know, Rayman is very important for me because I started working on it when I was like 17, 18 on my computer alone. I did the drawing, but I had that feeling that this character was really cool, and I asked a lot of people to join me, to help me to do that game. So painters, traditional animators, and it was a really exciting, very exciting experience. You know, the connection with the artists. With Rayman Origins, I wanted to retrieve this kind of connection. So, in Paris, we have a very big art school. People from that school go to Pixar, or a lot of everywhere in the world. And we had the chance to work with some of these persons and directly take their art and put their art in the game. And I like the fact that there's no polygons and rendering and things like that. It's direct painting, and it's in the game. So this kind of the way of creating in a very fluid way is what I like, because then the game we can imagine a lot of situations. For example, this big boss. That's really something we've been imagining very quickly, and we had the boss in the game very quickly. So we can have a lot of things like that, and that's what makes the game quite generous.
Now it's called Rayman Origins, and you said you wanted to kind of return to that artistic feeling of the original. So what's the story about? Is this kind of an origin story for him, or is there something else to the title?
People ask that. It's going to sound disappointing. We don't want to spoil too much, because the whole point is that the players themselves are going to unearth the origin stories as they go through, collecting relics and unlocking secret places where they'll be able to learn about all the weird and wonderful things about how this place came to be. There is a story to it. It's the Bubble Dreamer, who's the supreme being, that we sort of like to equate with Michel. He's an artistic being, very sensitive, and unabashed hedonist, and he likes to monkey around. He's a fun-loving guy, and all of these characters are created in his image, and something happens that kicks off his nightmares, and that's where all these sort of strange creatures start to come out of the woodworks. And as a player, we have to go back and ease his fears with all of our heroic and hilarious antics, so that he can dream this place in peace once again. But otherwise, the storytelling pretty much happens on the ground. It's the stories you guys and you and I are going to tell as we play through the game and encounter all these, around every corner, a new character, and interact with all of their animations. And each of them tells their own story.
Now, when you were creating this game, did you immediately set out to create a multiplayer game for 4 players, or was it, because the original Rayman, it was just him and his hair and his arms?
Yeah. The first game that was edited, my first game, is a 3-player game. At the same time, you can play free. It was on a personal computer, and it was funny because I did my best to have those 3 players at the same time. And then I remember, Bomberman, the old one, on the neck. It was possible to play 5 at the same time. 5 controllers, and I had this nostalgia of this time where you were all in the living room with friends and playing, in the same TV. So that's really something I had in mind for a long time. And the funny thing is that everything happened at the same time. I was working on that concept. Then there were Little Big Planet. It was just like, wow, they play 4. And then Super Mario Bros. Wii, play 4 too. So that's funny, because it's exactly like if everybody wanted to retrieve, especially with the HD consoles, where you can have all this detailed overall view of the game. It's still precise, even if the camera is far away. So it helps a lot playing 4 at the same time. So I think it's something that was, really at the beginning of the project.
Yeah, it's an immersive 2D platformer. So we wanted to go back to the reason why we like to play these games initially, about the accessibility and not to have to worry about the buttons and the mapping, and just pure fun. And I think this is the purest expression of Rayman in 2D, and you can concentrate utterly on the fun. You don't have to worry about complicated mapping, just having a blast with your friends.
Well, I'll definitely say the original Rayman was not a cakewalk, and this seems to be a bit of nostalgia here because this seems a little challenging because I'm seeing people popping bubbles left, right, and center.
This is a particularly hardcore
This
level.
one, it's a terrific level. It's the kind of level that you unlock. We can unlock it very early, but it's your choice to go there. You're not obliged in the game. So you will see that the game is really friendly because you can jump in. You've got the big forest level where that are more, cool pacing, and you can take your time and explore. But at the same time, you can unlock this kind of blue caves level where everything is just fast pacing, and so this level is far away in the game.
Are we in a kitchen? I'm seeing.
This is the Infernal Kitchens, yeah?
Yes, the
Okay.
In
Hell's
Gourmand.
Kitchen with spicy things, and it's quite Mexican.
Mexican
spaghetti
influence.
and all these things.
I am Mexican. I recognize some of this. This is fine.
Oh, you can't hear the music because it's just hilarious.
Now, Rayman we know very well. He has a suite of powers and abilities. We've got, who are the other characters? I recognize Blowbox, but who else does he get to play with in full 4-player? And do they have abilities that let them keep up? Because Rayman's always been sort of like the star.
Yeah, in fact, in that game, we wanted to have the four characters different visually, but they have the same kind of abilities. The funny thing is that when you play, you don't really have this feeling of these things that are different, but it's more, it's more a way to recognize your character. We wanted to have a kind of experience where you can share the same game, playing alone, playing with friends, but we wanted it to be easy to handle. So every character is the same in terms of controls,
Same skills, yeah.
Same skills.
But they look completely different, so you get this feeling their animations are completely unique.
That's another very hard level. We designed it for the conference, and it was terrific for me to play those levels.
You mean terrifying?
Terrifying, yeah. Because they're quite hard. But
So I've got some questions from the audience. Greg Dietz from Sacramento wants to know that are there any other references like the Tetris reference that he saw on the level, because he really likes it. Is there anything else like that in the game?
yeah, other references.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Rayman Origins is not only Origins of Rayman. I see it as looking back at all the things I loved in the past 20 years, and that's all these very sometimes symmetric things. So the Tetris is kind of blocks things. You've got a shooting part of the game in the game. There are a lot of funny references that are really for the people who love video games. And we spend so much time playing those games. There are part of those games inside our life, in fact, playing hours and hours and hours. So it's funny to retrieve there is a culture and history now in video game. So it's funny to have it in that game.
Very nice. So Jamal Roberts from London wants to know if we're going to see any of the old power-ups, like Golden Fist from the first game in this one.
Exactly. In fact, in the game, you've got permanent abilities that you unlock, like in Rayman 1, and you've got those power-ups that are more things you pick up and that increase the abilities of the character. So you will have different kind of fists and with different effects and new kind of powers too.
Now, in that scene right before here, we saw them collecting those sort of like red singing things. So, how does that fit into the game? Is that a bonus? Because I know that's a time section.
Yeah.
How does that work?
The looms, the fiery
the looms. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Exactly. Looms for illuminated, as opposed to for lums for dumb, right? Yeah, they're major collectibles. People can complete for bragging rights for score, but it's also an opportunity for less skilled players who don't get the death medallions to get to the end of the game, because instead of, if they can't get those challenges on the first try, they can also collect a lot of looms and trade them in order to buy the skull medallions, so that they'll be able to see the end of the game.
Very nice of that. Now, you talked about references to old games. This isn't a direct reference, but this is like a ton of games that I used to play back when I was a kid. So we have a shooting level here, we have traditional platforming. What other kind of genres are we going to see crop up over the course of playing this game?
I think here you have you have the platform. Here is the shooting, and you got kind of underwater sequences we had before. Well, it's a bit like, I don't know if you remember Super Sprint, the Atari game. It was a top view with cars.
Yeah.
You can play 4 at the same time.
Yeah.
That's funny because here when you are underwater, your character can turn 360, and there's a kind of drift thing, so in the control, so you have this, even if it's side view, your character is in the water, just reacts like this kind of game. So that's really funny because you can drift and you can have this kind of cool control. I like this idea, that's something we had in Beyond Good and Evil, going from one gameplay to another, but still in the flow, That's interesting thing. It's not another game, it's still in the same game. You were running, jumping on the mosquito, doing the this shooting sequence. Then you can imagine you leave the mosquito, go underwater in the same level. So it's cool because that's something I really wanted to have in Beyond Good and Evil. It was very hard work, having all these sequences of gameplays. And that's the same thing for Rayman Origins. I like the mix between all the different gameplays and the story and the art all together.
And so, over the course of your career, you started in 2D, you did some 3D, and this is 2D again. Do you have a preference? What do you love making most, 2D games or 3D games?
That's really funny because that's a feeling I share with other developers in my team. When you're in a game, you don't see if it's 2D or 3D. In fact, you really concentrate on the same thing. The control, the gameplay, all the gameplay loops, the level design, and in fact, I can't tell if it's you don't have this feeling that 3D or 2D are really different. In fact, it's always the same thing. It's about fun, a rhythm, and that's what makes game, and that's what makes the 3D and 2D thing really apart. In fact.
All right. Well, we've had one question that's kept coming up, and it hasn't been about Rayman Origins. So this will be our last one. But before we do, when is this game coming out?
December this year.
All right, and it's coming out on just about everything, I believe. Yeah.
PS3, Xbox 360, and the Wii.
Okay. So we can look forward to that later this year. But there's another game that people are wondering about. There's a waft of them. Everybody wants to know. Got anything to say about Beyond Good and Evil 2? That won't. All right. Okay, so that was an answer, kind of, and that is he's probably not going to say anything. But we asked, so we'll let you off the hook. We won't make it awkward and stare at you until you crack. We'll let you go. We do thank you for being on our stage. The game's looking great, everybody. Thanks to you guys for coming in. Now we're going to go to the show floor one more time. We're going to see some, I believe it's Galaga and Pac-Man, and then we're going to come back with something really special. For those of you that remember our show last year, we closed with something big. We got something pretty big that we want to share for you. So come on back. Until then, let's go hit the floor.
Trade in a game, get a gift card, get anything you want.